I don't want it to look like too crafty. Like we want this to look craftsmanship, like high craftsmanship, but not like necessarily an 8-year-old did it, although this is about play. I'm playing. The 8-year-old inside of me is out to play. So if she shows up today and this looks like an 8-year-old made it, still a win. Hey guys, all right, so there are some last few things that, like, I'm getting really close on my sewing room, on how I want it to look. I'm happy with how some of like my walls look behind me. They're functional. They also look nice, which hasn't always been the case. But there's some things that are still chaotic. So for instance, this is what I kind of have around for my packaging supplies. So I have, you know, all these different little craft paper envelopes that I wrap my clothing in when I send it. And I actually collect mailing envelopes from friends and family, just used ones. And that's what I use to send out to all of my clothing orders. So I need a space to keep those. And of course, they're not very cute themselves. So a space that's a little bit concealed and makes them look better, but keeps everything organized. And then of course I have things like cardstock paper hiding in the corner back here, and like my little stickers that I put on all my orders. And so I need all that sort of stuff organized. And I want to make sort of a wall pocket situation, somewhere that this stuff can live on the wall. I'm gonna take down one of these whiteboards because I think the two of them was way too hard to line up with each other, and so they look janky. And I'm just gonna take one down, and I think I'm gonna put sort of like a wall pocket up right here. So here's kind of what I'm thinking. So I think it'd be fun to do like a real tall thing and have like a weird pointy top. You know, I like things that kind of break up the squareness of a room, especially because I'm gonna have that rectangle whiteboard right next to it. So I think I want it to have like a fun pointy top. And then I think I want to do like my heaviest stuff at the bottom for somewhat structural reasons. Then I would probably do the next big box. Then I think I'm gonna start breaking it down into like my 8.5 by 11 buckets. So I'd probably do 2 per row here and do 4 up to the top. And hopefully this doesn't get to be too tall because I'm a wee 5'1". And I think what I want to do is like just high texture crazy. And so I want to use some of my fabric scraps and maybe like, I'm going left-handy here, so for the camera, maybe just like Mod Podge my fabric scraps all over this. And that's what's going to cover the cardboard and give it a little bit more strength, is like a Mod Podge of fabric scraps just covering literally everything. Will it take 100 years? Maybe. Will it be cool? Maybe. Let's see. So part of the reason I want to make something like a wall pocket and not just buy it on Amazon is twofold. Obviously, I have a lot of stuff. Being an artsy, crafty person, I've collected a bunch of stuff over the years. Like, I keep stuff. I have Mod Podge from 10 years ago. I keep all my fabric scraps. I have, you know, cardboard boxes still that I'm like keeping. I got rid of a lot of them, but I still have a lot around from when I moved just a month ago. And so I kind of just have stuff, and I'm like, oh, why buy new stuff when I can make something myself with what I already have? And then on the flip side, I also did this really cool workshop that inspired me last week. So I have this friend Sally who does creativity coaching, and she talks about it like about how she's there to help people get creatively unstuck, people who really want to dedicate more time and energy to doing creative projects, but they just need someone to sort of give them prompts and coach them along the way. She does one-on-one and group coaching and stuff, but she actually just did this free workshop a week ago, and I joined it just like as a friend, and I thought, sounds cool. I've never seen what Sally does before, and it was so fun and so inspirational. There was a handful of us on the call, and Sally had all these really fun prompts for us to do. Things like making art badly, or playing with your materials in ways you hadn't tried before. And even just from the second this workshop started, I was thinking about how, like, you know, I wanted to do I want to live a creative life. So I decided I'm going to form a creative business, right? And then you form this creative business, and it actually ends up being like, starts off maybe 50% business, 50% making cool things. And you start to realize quickly that to get going as a business, you actually end up having to put in a lot more into the business than into the creative work. And so I'm at a point right now that I think it was useful, but I don't know if it's the spot I want to be in, where I feel like I'm putting 90 to 95% of myself into business and reserving just 5 to 10% of my energy into the creative work. So of course of course I get to be creative when I'm doing things like sending emails and designing my website, but it's not as much play it's not as much play involved as I previously had in what I did, not as much like craftiness. And so anyway, today I want to make something for my sewing studio that feels like I'm playing a little bit. Sally talked about sort of like giving yourself permission to make that space for yourself in that time, because right now that is very hard for me to do. It is a Tuesday at 11:11. It's 11:11 on a Tuesday, and right now it is killing me. I should not be doing this. Like, I should not be just doinking around thinking I might make a wall pocket for my sewing studio. Maybe this is an activity for a Saturday afternoon or something, but you know, Saturday afternoon's gonna roll around and I'm probably still not going to do this. So I'm making the time and the space for it right now. I'm bringing you along on the ride, and I hope it turns out good. That's the other thing, is that you get a little bit scared. I know this sounds crazy because I really do, like, I run a creative clothing fashion business, but I haven't like crafted in a while, you know, like done a craft. And so while I feel very confident in my sewing practice, I feel a little bit more nervous about starting the project, because I'm like, how is this going to turn out? Am I going to spend all the time and energy on it and materials and my day, and just then look at it and be like, this looks ugly as crap? And then be disappointed with myself. Oh my god, so like this is all just spiraling through my head. I hope this is relatable and also isn't relatable to you. But that's what I'm thinking about, and I'm just gonna dive in. I'm gonna do it. And if it turns out ugly, then like, I don't know, we can both laugh at it together. So here we go. And if you're interested in what Sally does and how she does creative coaching, how she might be able to help you in some way, check her out. I'll link a description to what she does in the description below. Alright, first thing I'm gonna do is take down this whiteboard right here. It never like lined up right with the other one, which was super freaking annoying, so it's just coming down. On second thought is, you know, what if what I make turns out super ugly? Literally it could, just being realistic. So I am gonna leave the whiteboard here until I know how the thing I make turns out, and then we're going to make the decision at that point to take the whiteboard down. Because what if I put it back up, you know, just, no. Alright, now I'm breathing real heavy. I got my big cardboard boxes I'm gonna try and make the overall structure with. I'm really gonna try not to have to buy anything for this project. Let's just see how much I can do with what I've got. big question, is cardboard strong enough? So one of the reasons I'm using it is because, well, I had it, and that's obvious, but I also think like it's easy to shape and sculpt into whatever figure I want it to be, and it's lightweight. I saw some people on YouTube lately like making expensive looking things using cardboard, so that gave me hope. And then also, like, I really don't plan to live in this apartment very long, like a year, maybe 2 years, but probably just like even less than a year. So I don't want to like invest really deeply in something like plastic or price-wise that's going to like not fit in well at my next place, wherever I end up going. Things always end up changing, the wall space, the layout. So I thought cardboard, okay, it's just like a fun project, but I also won't feel that bad just throwing it out at the end or finding a different use for it. It's pretty low investment. So let's hope it's strong enough. This had, when I laid out my 2 boxes, there was 2 huge holes, or like a few huge holes actually, in both of my back layer boxes. And so I'm hoping that because I'm doing 2 layers, it'll structurally hold up, but that is to be determined. What I'm gonna do right now is go around and try and reinforce any edges that seem a little bit weak with some tape. I just have like black painter's tape. I wish I had like a brown craft tape, but we're going with what we got. So I'm doing a black painter's tape around all the edges, and I'm going to actually pull out my glue gun, which feels very crafty. Glue guns are awesome, but I also never really trust that they're gonna hold up. But I'm reminding myself that this is just for a temporary cute thing to go on this wall. It doesn't need to last 100 years. So I am going to glue gun my boxes together and hope, and I'm gonna set it up on the wall and see if it looks good. So I'll catch you in the next scene. All right, well, my bun's getting floppier and floppier as we go, but check it out. Pretty good. I wish I could show you better in this video to see the whole thing, but we have it all in one piece. It's pretty sturdy. Here's big chunks out of the back, but we have I've bound up all the edges on my outer thing, kind of patched up some rips. I added some reinforcement extra panels on the back at the places where the box would have sort of naturally creased. So it is kind of 3 layers deep in some spots. And it genuinely feels pretty sturdy. It's still lightweight, but I'm gonna cross my fingers and attach the boxes next, I think. All right, there's been an update. The top boxes, I put little cutouts on because they're gonna have the paper in them, like my cardstock and my sticker paper, stuff like that. I kind of want to be able to see what's in them, and I'm nervous that I'm so short that like if they're the higher tiered ones, I won't be able to see in as well. So I did some little wavy cutouts so I can see lower down into it. It's kind of a good, you know, could be a good boob holder as well. So, you know, double purpose. Turned out really nice. I'm excited to start putting these on. I'm actually kind of freaking out. So I know I said I'm going to be putting these, attaching these onto my back panel next, but I actually just have no idea how I'm going to do that. I feel like if I just put like hot glue on these edges and stick it on, it's going to fall off. Like, no doubt in my mind that putting any weight in it will eventually, like in 2 weeks, this whole thing's just gonna fall apart. So I gotta come up with some plan of how I'm going to attach each pocket to the, especially the heavier one at the bottom. How am I gonna attach it to the back panel? Yeah, I don't know. Let's do it. All right, here's what I decided. I added sort of like an artificial extra backing piece to each of the sides. Hopefully that will help. Maybe I'll add another panel right here too. That'd probably be smart. let's see. All right, they're attached. There's tape stuck to everything. And we are in one piece. Woohoo! So, pretty good. Show you up close. Well, close-ish. So, they're pretty good. I think they're on there real strong. I could lift the whole thing up by just one box. So, I think they're pretty good. And now I just need to cover up the whole front. I feel like this is the turning point in the project where I feel like it could turn out cool. You know, like you start to give yourself hope, like this might actually go on the wall. If I don't screw up the next step. So I think I'm gonna practice first the like decoupage of the fabric on a piece of cardboard just to see how it looks, because I don't want it to look like too crafty. Like we want this to look craftsmanship, like high craftsmanship, but not like necessarily an 8-year-old did it, although this is about play. I'm playing. The 8-year-old inside of me is out to play. So if she shows up today and this looks like an 8-year-old made it, still a win. Okay. I got a lot of scraps. So here's where this table comes just seriously in handy. I mean, it always does, but basically I can already use this table with my electric rotary cutter to cut out all of my fabric, then use the exact same tabletop to iron everything as I'm sewing, which is awesome. And then when I'm ready to do a project like this, something a little bit more messy, like, you know, paper mache, fabric mache, I can just take off my cover and I have a nice clean surface underneath. I'll probably still lay down some paper so that I don't damage the surface, but boom! I mean, pretty cool that I can just whip this off, keep it clean, and then put it back on when I'm ready for sewing. So here we go. All right, I think I like how it looks generally. So I did like, this was like a packing paper that when we moved, we had a bunch of this. So this is just kind of like a nice neutral thin paper. And then I've got my linen fabric scraps. And I guess what I'm a little skeptical about is it looks like there's some like dark spots that I don't love. That was what I was kind of nervous about looking crafty. You know how like glue kind of shows. But I think it just might not be all the way dry yet. I put it in front of a fan for like 6 minutes. And so that's like my impatience. And I think I like it enough though. And I'm willing to risk it if that shows up a little bit, even when it's dry. I think I still like it enough. I like all the texture. I'm using a matte Mod Podge, which I think is helping. Like really, you can still see a little bit of shine here, which I don't think shows actually on the paper or the fabric, only on the cardboard. But I think it helps still preserve all the texture in the fabric, which I like. So I think I'm gonna do it. Wish me luck. What I do need to do before I start gluing everything on is actually iron out a bunch of my scraps. I think this is gonna be way easier if all of my scraps are super flat and can just be applied real quick and easy without bubbling up and stuff. Linen's wrinkly. All my scraps have been really bundled up, so they need flattened. And I'm going to guess I have about, I'm using matte Mod Podge, and I bet I have like 2/3 of it full, and I just feel like there's no shot this is gonna cover the whole thing. So that's where I think the downfall is going to be, is I'm gonna have to go get more Mod Podge at a point, but hopefully not. Really wanted to not have to buy anything, so fingers crossed. I also have some like white Elmer's glue or like knockoff Dollar Tree glue, and I'm a little more nervous that that's not going to show up matte. It's going to be glossy, even if I water it down, so I'm kind of hesitant to use that. Might have to go get more of this. I thought this was a good time while I iron to check in with you guys on how I feel, the feelings check on my creative play day, my play date with myself, my, I'm not playing with myself, but I am creatively playing with my fabrics and my sewing room. And I think it feels good, for sure. There's definitely been moments where I'm like, uh-oh, what time is it? It's getting later, it's getting later. Right now it's 2:50, almost 3 o'clock. And I did kind of plan on just doing this project in the morning. You know, I don't know about morning, but definitely like earlier in the day. And I can tell it's going to go into the sun setting period. It's probably going to start getting dark in here at a certain point. I just, you know, I feel like a little nervous. Like I'm almost wasting a day doing this. But then I tell myself I'm not. There's so much. I've gotten to really, experiment with a different medium, kind of experiment with thinking about 3D objects, which is very important for the work that I do, is turning 2D objects into 3D objects and thinking about shapes. I'm also thinking about how things hold together. So I normally am stitching, but thinking about things like tape and glue and gravity and you know, now with the fabric, I'm going to be thinking about composition and different ways that my fabric, the linen fabric, can be incorporated into something. And so I think there's going to be a lot of value, even though this project is a little bit off my usual. I am really enjoying myself, first of all. It's a nice sunny day too, so the light is coming in pretty well. Even though it's freezing fucking cold outside. Yeah, I don't know. I'm enjoying it. Time is passing quickly, I think, because I'm having a lot of fun. And there's something about starting a different type of project, not knowing if, like, not necessarily having the confidence it's going to turn out right. And then along that process, the journey you go to, like a journey of like the nerves. It's almost like a storyline of getting through each step, running into maybe issues you didn't plan ahead of time, how you problem solve. And I think that's all a really good practice for me to do, probably more regularly than I do it right now. I'm happy I'm taking the time to do it, making the space to do it today, because, you know, it's hard to do this and give yourself permission to take that sort of time. Especially if any of you have a creative business, I'm sure you've watched as something that was like a hobby to you turns into this blurry like hobby, like your hobby starts to pay your rent, and you still enjoy putting a lot of creativity into it, but it really reduces the amount of experimentation you might do, because you start to think about all of your creative endeavors as sort of like, will this sell? You know, will I make money from this? Will people like this? And there's just, it's easy to get lost in that and lose a sense of play and making things for yourself and risking that it might turn out super ugly. I think that's part of, like, that's a fun part of it, is thinking this might actually turn out like shit. When it's something, when you experiment with like a different medium than you usually do. I don't know. Those are my thoughts so far. So just checking in, and I'm gonna keep ironing. I got a lot of scraps to go through. I'm probably going to do this for another, like, I'm gonna guess this is gonna take me another 10 minutes. And then I'm going to start Mod Podging it on, and I'll see you then. All right, I'm gonna start it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna just start putting it on. Wish me luck. Here we go. Alright, we're getting there. I'm fully covered in Mod Podge. And I'm pretty sick of doing it. I think I'm gonna take a break. I really wanted to finish this project today, and hopefully I still will, but I've gotta take a break. Because brushing these on is taking a while and super annoying. I'm also out of bigger linen pieces, so I need to cut some more. Something I'm a little bit concerned about, that we'll see if gets better, is spots that are a little bit dark, obviously. I was nervous that that was gonna happen, and it still might be just wet. I don't know. Jury's out on if that is going to ever lighten up. I think, honestly, if it stayed patchy like that, I wouldn't mind. Like, I think it could still look really cool, so I'm just gonna wait and see, and keep adding cool textures and layers of fabric onto it as I go. But for now, break, my back hurts, and I think I need to go get more Mod Podge soon too, so that's the plan, and I'll see you in a bit. All right, it's the next day. I didn't finish our cubby, so here's what we've got so far. I still have these bottom two to finish up, but I got the top two done. I put a little piece of paper in the top to test it out. It definitely has this look to it that I thought this might dry differently, that it was just wet. And I think that's something I've had to sort of get over. Well, I'm gonna start Mod Podging here. I'm doing a new tactic today. So the new tactic is I got like a little mini roller brush and tray. I'm just gonna pour the Mod Podge. I got more Mod Podge. This is all Dollar Tree. I'm going to pour the Mod Podge in the roller tray and then apply it that way, so hopefully that will feel a little bit better. So sort of a check-in from yesterday. I feel like I started this project as like you know, I was feeling like this was a time for creative play, and then I think somewhere around the time of the sun setting, I felt the inner goblin in me came out, and the time goblin and the doubt goblin came out, feeling, it didn't feel so much like play anymore. And I think what it was two different things. So you've probably experienced this in some different craft projects before. Like, this feeling wasn't a new emotion for me, but I got to the point in the project where it started taking longer than I thought it would. Like, I had in my day schedule hoped that this was all going to be done by a certain time yesterday, and it wasn't. So I started to feel a little bit like guilt that I okay, I gave myself permission to work on this, but then I didn't give myself that much permission to make this take up the whole day, plus the next morning. And so that really started to get to me, and also I'll mention I really didn't like the method that I was like sensationally, I did not like the feeling of brushing on the Mod Podge and putting dry fabric on it. Like, it was not as satisfying as when you do paper mache, if you remember doing that growing up, like, or now as an adult. It's like you dip all of the stuff in the goo and then you squeeze it off, and I always thought that felt really cool. The method I'm doing here was just brushing the Mod Podge on, and everything just felt really like dry, and like my hands were all sticky. I should have worn gloves. I don't know. So I think it was like it was taking longer than I wanted to, and it wasn't like a super satisfactory feeling. Like, I feel like when I sew with linen fabric and you get to like iron it and it gets so flat and pristine, and I don't know, sewing with linen feels a lot more natural to me. So I think something cool that's come out of this is, you know, interacting with my fabric in a different way, and really, I guess, on the bright side, appreciating the way that I do typically use it compared to this. But I am happy with how this turned out. I think too I had to go through kind of a process of like, does it look good? You know, like a lot of emotions about, I remember using Mod Podge in the past, like growing up, and thinking it, like, I didn't plan on it being so splotchy, like it dried kind of splotchy, like there's weird dark spots and then other spots that didn't turn dark. It would have been fine if it all got dark, but it didn't. And I think I had to kind of reframe. I went to a yoga class last night. I joined a yoga studio this week, which has been really fun. And my intention for the class was literally to like accept this as like, just remember, it's fun, it's play, and try and reframe it, because I was getting in kind of a shitty mood about it. And so I think when I came home from yoga, I looked at it again, and like, I do actually think that the splotchiness of it is kind of helps it look like antiquated in a way that I actually want it to. Like, that's a cool feature I couldn't have even planned for. I just had to kind of reframe in my head what I think Mod Podge is supposed to look like, or what I intended, and reframe it. And I do really like the way it's turning out. So I'm excited to get done with it though. I'm gonna stop chatting so that I can really just get to it. So let's try the new roller method real quick. Oh yeah. That's putting it on at least a little bit quicker. But now, let's see, I don't really understand how. Let's do this one. Oh, I told myself I'm gonna wear gloves today. These are just I don't think I'd actually choose them, but they came with the little rolly tray. They're kind of unpleasant to wear. Maybe I shouldn't wear them, but it's so short. It's like a plastic bag on my hand. Okay, now let's see, can I rolly on top? Okay, this method could work better than the previous method. I think we're at least on to something for making it a better experience. Yeah, all right, I'm gonna finish it up. I'll see you in a bit. Ooh, I'm finished with it. I'm super happy with how it turned out. It sucks when you make tall things and try and put them on a horizontal video, but I've already started to put some things down in the two bottom parts down there. But look at it! I think the style of it goes really well with, I've got this mirror and this hanging rug over here, and I also have this rug down here and these little bell things. So I think the style generally fits in. Now what doesn't fit in so well is the whiteboard. I think I would love to have a frame around it, but that's pretty low priority right now. And I need to clean off this desk and get my computer monitor up here. But I can start putting the rest of these crazy papers into my new wall pocket. But, and remember, the whole thing's held together by hot glue, all the boxes to the backing. So I'm thinking about putting little legs down at the bottom below. All right, it's a couple days later and it is fully dry. I ended up adding some little feet down at the bottom to help support that heavier bottom basket there. These are just feet that I found in the trash from someone throwing them away. I think they're IKEA. And they are holding it up quite well. And then I ended up stabilizing it by putting just a screw in right there and right there That one has an anchor in it because it's just going into drywall. It's both like sturdy, kind of hard, but also has a little bit of that fabric feel still left to it, and it's got like nice frayed edges. I got a little bit lazy. I need to finish up the bottom portion of some of the boxes, but it turned out really nice and I'm overall happy with the final look. So yes, I hope you enjoyed the journey with me, this crafting journey of creative play. Thank you to my friend Sally, who got me inspired to actually just take a day, middle of the week, for myself and make something fun out of the usual and do something a little bit different with the materials that I use every single day. To conclude, I'd say if I was looking back to do this project again, I would have started with the roller method from the very beginning with the Mod Podge and maybe just spread out the project, like mentally in my head, knowing how long it takes so that I wasn't disappointed by how long it took. And I think that's it. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'm happy with my shapes. I think my cardboard held up well and it's all the right size. So hopefully it holds up. If it doesn't, I will give you guys an update at some point. But thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!